Mate, I've pressed start on the recording, so whenever you're ready, just fucking get it going.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, that's right. You can edit that out anyway. Cut. Cool. So, hey, and obviously thanks for tuning in to the first ever episode of Featuring Regular People. My name's Luke, and obviously I'm part of a co-host of the show. Just to give you a little bit of background about me before I pass you on to the other half. I'm 26 years old. I'm currently studying at university, doing a sociology degree. Already we've fucked this up, haven't we?
No, keep it going, mate.
But we move, we move. But essentially, one of the main reasons why, this kind of project's come about is partly because of lockdown, a lot of boredom. But also, like, it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, getting a bit creative. And also it was just a kind of a way to reach out and have kind of a conversations with people that I wouldn't normally speak to. The other half of the conversation, the other half of the show is hosted by Khan, so I'll pass it over to you, bro.
I like how you referred to me as your other half before there. We're not married.
Not
I'm
yet.
in at the moment, but
Yeah. We haven't seen each other in a while, so I'm working on it.
But yeah, no, as Luke said, my name's Khan, 23, coming off the back of a 3-year media production course at uni. Not really doing anything with it, working in car insurance, which is obviously not the trajectory I was looking for, but it is what it is. And yeah, mate, a bit like you said, like I've been looking to do something like this for a little while, but never actually, like, it's one of them things, isn't it? You're like, yeah, I'll start a podcast, and then you just never actually do it. And it was through
Procrastination is a bitch.
Mate, literally, I'm so bad for that with everything I do anyway. It took me about a year to finally start martial arts after being like, yeah, I'd quite like to do that. But yeah, man, so lockdown, obviously got chatting to you and you were like, oh, I think I'm going to do a podcast if you want to help out a bit. And I was like, help out? What if I co-host it with you? So I'm really muscled
just
in.
power grab, taking that shit. But no, it's good. It's good to be doing it with you, bro. So yeah, I'm excited about kind of where this goes as well.
Yeah, me too, mate. And it's like you said, like speaking to people that you wouldn't normally talk to. Like I'm excited just to chat to some cool people and have some open conversations, man. I feel like there's not enough of that going on today. Like you chat, even like if I see someone I haven't seen for ages. Like one of my mates, like went to Australia for like a year, came back. Like the first like 20 minutes, we were like, oh yeah, sick, having all this conversation. Then before you know it, like both of us just on our phones
Just
like that again.
Ping.
So bad.
Not that I get that many notifications on my phone.
I get that many notifications if I post a picture with my missus because everyone likes it because she's in it.
But mate, like obviously.
Get a bird.
Obviously we want to talk about a bunch of different topics. This first episode really is to give you guys a bit of an insight into obviously who we are as people, how we met, what kind of people we are, because I feel like, you have to relate to kind of, people in a very honest way, which is exactly why we wanted to set this first episode out in that kind of format. Just throughout the episodes and the show in general, it will just be honest, open, a bit forward, sometimes a bit sticky in the nicest possible way.
Mate,
we just want to have a laugh.
Mate, from when I first met you, you literally, I was like, fucking hell, this guy's talking to me like he's known me my whole life.
Yeah, it's a tendency. But I mean, we want to talk about a bunch of different topics, anywhere from sports, fitness, mental health, music, even just day to day, like, business, current affairs, general topics.
Yeah, mate, a good mixture. Like, sometimes it'll be a bit serious, sometimes it'll be jokey.
Most likely it'll be jokey, but
95% of the time, even if it's serious, we will try and joke about it because I think we're both just a bit like that, really, aren't we?
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll go back to the start. I think that's always a good place to start, anyway, isn't it? Let's just wrap up this whole show now. We're done.
Yeah.
So it was nice working with you, bro. Peace,
mate. I think all good things come to an end.
Back to the start. I mean, yeah.
How we got to this point and how we met.
Tell us a bit about that.
I think I want to introduce it just because it sticks in my mind so well. So I was in Australia on a gap year.
Yeah, darling.
I was an 18-year-old lad. I was like, yeah, I'll take a year out from uni. What should I do? I thought I'll do something crazy and original. I'll go travelling and I'll go to Australia. Because
Little did he
I don't
fucking
think many
know.
people actually do that,
No, nor did I. Nor did
No,
I.
but anyway, I'm on this bus to a place called Byron Bay, which if anyone's been to the east coast of Australia, they've heard of Byron Bay. Like if anyone's
To
seen
everybody that might listen to this in the world.
yeah. Anyone who's seen the second In Betweeners film definitely knows where it is as well. But anyway, I'm on this bus. It's a 12-hour coach. I'm sat there and I'm like, right, I'll get my head down because I'm going to be on here for 12 hours. I'll try and get some sleep. And I've got my headphones in, and through my fucking headphones, I can hear this voice. It's just like, oh, what's his name? That geezer. Oh, who is it? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is about him. It's about, what's his name? He's an author. And I'm just hit. You've said this probably about 20 times at this point.
Persistence, man.
At this point in my life, I wasn't very outgoing, so I wouldn't just interject in a stranger's conversation. But I was like, right, this is fucking ridiculous now. I was like, someone's got to tell him. I turn around, and it's you, this person I don't know and I've never met. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Hunter S. Thompson. The guy you're on about is Hunter S. Thompson. And then from that sparked a 12-hour-long conversation.
And I mean, and more importantly, it sparked what is now like a four-year friendship.
No, it's got to be about 5 now, because if your thing about Greyhound came up, that can't have been much before or after. It's getting on.
That made no sense. However, you just turned 19, and I just turned. I think I was turning 22. Whilst we were in Cairns together, which we'll obviously get onto a little bit later.
Yeah, our birthdays are close together, aren't they? When's your birthday?
April.
Yeah, mine's March. So, I remember because in Cairns we celebrated both our birthdays.
Yeah. Like pretty much straight away as soon as we got there as well. But I mean, to give you a bit of background, I think individually, I think it's a good place actually. So where we're kind of from in the UK, and also kind of maybe an idea of why we decided to go traveling in the first place. Because whilst it is quite cliche, like it definitely does open you up to a lot of different people when you do make some serious kind of friendships and relationships whilst you're abroad.
Nobody just does that shit for no reason. Like,
Mate, yeah. I mean, so I grew up on the Isle of Wight. If anybody listening to this has never heard of it, probably a good thing, to be honest. It's a terrible place. Lovely to visit in the summer, but not much going on. It's a tiny island off the south coast. So for me, like obviously going to a country like Australia, or even going traveling, wasn't something that you do. People go up on the Isle of Wight and they kind of, stay put.
Yeah.
And I've always been one that wants to kind of explore, and just to make sure that I'm just kind of bringing myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. Obviously you're from that kind of small town environment as well.
Oh mate, big time. So where I'm from, it's like so I'm from a horse racing town, a small horse racing town where there is fuck all going on other than that. So unless you ride horses or you want to be a builder, there ain't a lot going on.
And you like gambling?
Yeah, mate, to be fair, no, I'm not much of a gambler. Every time I do, I lose all my money, so I just nip that in the bud early doors. But no, my whole thing with going travelling is, like, obviously you said yours about putting yourself out of your comfort zone. I felt like my whole life had been an uncomfortable zone. Like, so I was like, how much more uncomfortable can it get? I don't want to go to uni just yet. I was like, sod it, like, let me just do something mental. Well, it actually came off the back of, I was at college, and I was going to go travelling with my mate and his girlfriend. Hindsight, thank fuck I didn't, because that would
have been...
all three of us were going to go, and then they dropped out, and then my parents were like, what are you going to do? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm still going. I booked my flight. And they're like, you booked your flight? And I was like, yeah. They were like, this was in August, because I deferred my place at uni, sort of without telling them. And then they were like, I just booked my flight. And they were like, oh, when are you leaving? I was like, Boxing Day. Boxing Day at 4 a.m. So we had Christmas Day, and then obviously all just stayed up. I packed my bag, and then left, mate. Boxing Day.
Was it Boxing Day? Yeah,
mate. Landed in the middle of Sydney, and it didn't really hit me until I checked into the hostel, and I was like, Like,
Yeah, what the fuck do I do now?
yeah, but my parents are obviously like getting like upset and shit because they're not going to see me for a year. I hadn't really thought about that. I was on the plane, like listening to music, watching films. I was like, it's pretty sound. And then sat down in the hostel, like put my bag on my bed and was just like, shit.
Yeah. And it kind of gets to that point, doesn't it? I mean, it was a kind of not really like, as dramatic a story as yours, but I remember I just turned 21 and I was born in April. So obviously, if you're listening to this in the UK, you'll know that that's when you get your tax rebate. And I got this mad letter through the post on my birthday, which I don't know was just, um, very coincidental or it was kind of fate. I don't, you can take your pick. And I wasn't even in at the time. I was at the car wash with my sister, and my mum called me and she was like, "Luke, you're all right? Like, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just in the car wash." She's like, "You sat down?" I was like, "Well, yeah, obviously. Like, I'm in a car. I'm not just stood up, like, washing it myself, am I?" And anyway, she was like, "Oh yeah, you've got this letter, this check in the post. Like, it's quite a lot of money." And obviously, I grew up in a very working class family, so it turned out to be. I won't drag it out because it's a bit of a shit story, but it turned out to be about 3.5 grand. Yeah, which was nice.
Yeah.
It was quite. I think it was probably the best birthday present I could have received. So I appreciate you, tax office in the UK. Thank you very much for that.
Big up the government.
So literally, it was just a case of like, she was like, "What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I'm gonna go to Australia." And then obviously we'll skip forward in time back to the Byron Bay scenario, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We were chatting on the bus, and then 12 hours flew by like that, as they do when you're meeting new people. Oh, mate, when you're like in that kind of environment so I was with one other lad that I sort of knew, who I met out there. I knew him from like school in England, but like he happened to be in Sydney as well. So I was like, "Oh, do you want to just come down the coast with me?" And that, like, but when you're in that environment where there's so many people where you're just meeting each other, like, obviously you're all just like well excited, so time just flies like that. So the 12-hour coach journey just didn't seem very long, and
Did
then
we
we ended
sleep
up.
on it? I don't think so, man.
No, mate, I promise you we didn't. I remember not sleeping. Mate, we talked about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for about 2 hours.
I mean, it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, flick film. Anyone who may or may not be listening, if you haven't seen that film, then you need to watch that shit. But yeah, we partied in Byron Bay for like a week, and then
Wait. Before you carry on with that section, though, the first day was absolutely disastrous.
Well, I mean, depends how you look at it.
I mean, it started very strong. Obviously, we left that hostel. I got to the next hostel that I checked into, and I just passed out like on the deck chair by the pool, and I woke up. I think it must have been at like 3, 4 in the morning, and you lot had been out, and yeah, so
Yeah.
I just fell asleep and I pied you all off for the night, completely accidentally, and obviously like huge letdown. But anyway.
But yeah, no, mate, we had a good weekend. But it's weird that was a week because so much happened, and we met so many people that it feels like a period of like months. Like when you're doing something like that, so much happens in such a short space of time that it feels weird to say that, like, yeah, that was literally just 1 week. But
I mean,
yeah,
I think it's just down to the fact that you obviously, you form very intense relationships very quickly.
mate, absolutely, yeah, because you're all like
Stuck in
yeah, well, you just bond over this mental thing that you all decided to do. Because, like, to be fair,
magic
quite a lot of
mushrooms.
people.
That was pretty much it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
mate, well, yeah, that's
I mean,
if for anyone who's been to Byron Bay or hasn't, there's a little town called Nimbin, which I remember hearing about it and thinking, bollocks, that's not a real place. But for anyone who hasn't heard of it, Nimbin is a town about 45 minutes outside of Byron Bay.
which has, wait, sorry, yeah, I'll add this point in a second.
Well, they had a festival there about 40 years ago. No, longer than that, like 60 years ago. And the people who didn't go home just started a town.
Is that how it started?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Sorry,
Okay.
That's why there's a police station about the size of my flat with like one police car.
Well, that's what I was going to add in. I was like, this is the most bizarre little kind of hippie town, which you can essentially go in and buy weed and magic mushrooms and
Whatever you want.
MD.
whatever you want. Like, because you hear it, mate. Like, obviously, loads of young.
I mean, hippie drugs. Obviously, you
Yeah,
can't go in
yeah,
and buy an ounce of smack. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, they reserve that for Cairns. But no, you get there and you're like, there's no way it's right. I was off the bus for about 30 seconds and this little, like, he looked like Willie Nelson, like, bounced up to me and was like, you looking for some smag today, mate? And I was like, I grabbed the people I was with. I was like, no, it's not a joke. They're serious about this. But yeah, so like that was a pretty mental experience. And then obviously we had our like party days in Byron, went our separate ways for a little bit. And then
Wow, I'd say
a
no,
period,
no. You came up to Surfers Paradise, didn't
mate,
you?
every time we talk about this, you get it wrong. You went to Surfers every fucking time. You went to Surfers with Jack and John.
And to think we've actually kind of rehearsed this a couple of times now as well.
Yeah, mate,
And I'm
we
still
got stuff
fucking
that
up the
we were going
same
to talk about.
story.
And also, every time me and you like reconnect and start talking again, we do all this because we just reminisce about it so brutally. And I reckon maybe the 8 times we've done that, you've been like, yeah, and you came up to Surfers, but you went up there. You went up there with Jack and John, and then me and Santi went with Johan a bit later. But
You went to Harvey Bay, didn't you?
no,
Not Harvey Bay, Noosa.
Noosa, yeah. And then I met
Yeah.
you again in Harvey Bay after
Yeah.
it was probably about 2 months that we like sort of. You were in Bundaberg.
Yeah.
Doing farm
We
work.
might as well. Should we dive into this little story?
Yeah, please do.
So Bundaberg, for anybody that doesn't know, again, also you're probably very lucky that you don't know about it because it's a vile place. It's essentially where backpackers go to die. So it's where you go and do your 88 days of farm work. Whoever said 88 days lies to you because you either last a week, you either go broke or get kicked out the hostel like I did, or you're there for like 5 months because there's just no work.
Yeah, farm work is a massive scam, isn't it?
It's a huge scam, and maybe we should actually talk about this a bit more in depth in another time.
Yeah, we can do an hour episode on bullshit farm work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could quite bring myself to be positive for an hour talking about that shit, but essentially you're literally just working on farms, and there's the work itself isn't that bad. I mean, it's pretty strenuous, I'd say.
Mornings.
Early mornings, I was getting up at 4 a.m, going to these massive like plantations, and I was having to bend down all day in the pissing rain or like 40-degree heat and plant these little bulbs. Yeah, plant these little bulbs into these things, and you left it every single day. And even though it was pissing down, your back was red raw. You're getting blisters on your back from just like the massive amount of burning. And then there's like dangerous poisonous spiders crawling over your hands whilst you're doing it. But actually being more on topic as to why we started this in the first place. I mean, it was Paddy's Day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, do you want to tell them about Goon?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So like, it's important to mention in Paddy's Day in Australia, they take Paddy's Day very fucking seriously.
I mean, I feel like everywhere takes Paddy's Day very serious, but they don't actually celebrate their own holidays. Like we don't celebrate. Who's our person?
Is George?
Andrew?
Is it George? Oh no, it was St Andrew's Day, wasn't it?
No, St Andrews is Scotland. St George's is England.
Because he like slayed a dragon, but then dragons don't fucking exist, so I don't really get.
They do in Wales.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, right. So basically, what backpackers drink in Australia, because they're all skin. Everyone is fucking skin, 100%. Like after the first 2 weeks, you are broke. I took $3,000 out there with me, and I spent that in less than a month. Well done, me. But yeah, no. So everyone
I spent mine in the first week, bro.
Yeah, literally, everyone I said that to was like, "Oh yeah, exactly the same." So again, that's another thing you bond over is how shit you all are with money. But
or just how fucking insanely expensive Australia is until you get a job in Australia.
Yeah, and then the Australian wages come in. But yeah, no. So everyone drinks this stuff called Goon. Goon is basically the cheapest wine known to man. I don't know what the fuck they make it out of.
So it's the bottom of the barrel stuff, isn't it? So it's I mean, I've heard rumours that there's like fish eggs and fish oil in it.
Fish eggs, yeah. Well, that's how normal wine's made. It's filtered through fish guts, so they probably just chuck the fish guts in as well. That's why most wine
just to add a little bit of weight on it.
Yeah. But,
yeah, I will fact check this as well, and I will post it in the description, just to let you know what the ingredients of goon are.
Yeah,
that's quite a good point.
And I will deliver non-factual ingredients because it's funnier. But it comes in these boxes, and inside the box is like a silver bag. It's about 5 litres, and you get that for about $5, which at the time when I went was about £2.50 in English money.
Yeah, probably about the same.
So you get in stupid amounts of alcohol for stupid cheap. Tastes horrible, but everyone just necks it. And while Luke was away farming, he had a particularly bad experience, which I'll let him fill you in on.
So, I mean, there's white goon, which I don't actually think is that bad. Like, I mean, it's disgusting, but it's you know, like it out of the kind of 2 main types, it isn't that bad. But the red goon is really where you fuck up. And whoever's drunk red goon will automatically probably be sat there going, yeah, I fucking know.
Yeah,
but we'd smoked loads of weed. It was Paddy's Day. Went to the pub, had a few pints, and then went to the park, because apparently that's what you do when you're 23 and traveling, instead of just going to another bar. Well, we were skint, so that's probably why.
Wait, one sec. You've aged yourself 2 years.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, no. I was actually, I think I was a year older by this point. So 1 year I've aged myself.
Yeah, fair play.
But yeah, anyway, so we went to the park listening to some music, as you do when you're apparently 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And just polished off like 3 litres of goon, and got back to the hostel. I felt a bit poorly. Let's put it bluntly. I fell asleep. Everything's fine. We woke up to vomit, red vomit, like purple vomit.
You didn't wake up. You were woken up.
Yeah, I was woken up because essentially the vomit. We were on bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk, and the hostel manager was on the bottom, and I'd literally vomited in my sleep all down the bed, which everybody listening to this now is going to be like, this is the most disgusting thing I'm probably going to hear. And why is this guy telling this so openly? But they went all the way down his bed, all over my sheets, all over the floor, the walls, like projectile vomit whilst you're sleeping. I think it's a bit of an achievement, to be honest.
Good job.
I was woken up, subsequently kicked out of the hostel in the morning, and then obviously, yeah, we limped back up in Harvey Bay, innit?
Well, that's where it really got started, didn't it? So I called you, and I was staying with a really lovely girl in Brisbane at the time, a girl we met in Byron Bay, who essentially took me in when I got to Brisbane. I got to Brisbane, as I said, I spent all my money in the first month. So when I got to Brisbane, I actually had no money. Do you remember Adam?
Yes.
Canadian guy. So me, him and Ask were staying in this hostel even. Adam ran out of money.
Hotel. I was going to say, that's why you ran out of fucking money, boy.
Yeah, didn't stay in one hotel. So Adam ran out of money and spent the night sleeping under Ask's bed in his hostel because he couldn't afford a bed. Like, that is how ridiculous it got. Anyway, I ran out of money and asked, obviously, a lovely girl we both know called Lulu. I was like, look, can I stay with you for a week until this is how naive I was when I was 18. I was like, can I stay with you for a week until I get some money? Thinking that that's how life works, when in actuality it takes longer than a week to get
at least a few weeks. You need to work first before you can get money.
To get paid. Anyway, month and a half later, I'm still on her couch. She gets home from work to find me in various states of highness. And would usually just come home and cook me dinner and couldn't be happier to host me. Like, she is a genuine saint.
Absolutely.
I get a call from you and you're like, look, been kicked out the hostel. You tell me the story you just told, well, anyone listening, and it took longer than that to tell because we were both laughing so much that it took ages to get through it. you were like, look, I'm going to be heading up to Cairns with this other matey I'm with. Do you want to come as well? And I was like, yeah, sweet. I was like, oh, do you know what as well, mate? I'll bring some weed. I've got loads of weed. I turned up with a nug, maybe about this big.
Although, I mean, I kind of feel like that was so like a slight bit of payback for referring back to Byron Bay. Obviously, when I went to Nimbin, I came back on that first day. Sorry, the second day.
This is a good one.
And I had a bag of drugs essentially. So I had some mushrooms in there. I had some weed, a bit of hash, and I think that was it actually. So it was a pretty poor bag of drugs in the grand scheme of things. But it was a nice little concoction anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I'm down on the beach just having a joint. Come link me down here and we'll have a smoke and eat some mushrooms. And I was sat facing away from the tide. And I'm still like fucking bizarre. Like, I don't know how this happened because the tide was so far out. My wallet, my bag of drugs, and I think it was my phone was sat like underneath me. And this massive like wave came up, swept up everything from underneath me and stole it. And essentially I was running down the coast going, get my bag of drugs. And then you turned up and I had nothing.
I think you were with Jack and you were like, Jack, you get my phone and wallet, I'll get the drugs. Really, like sold where your priorities were at. But no, I rang you, I was like, oh mate, I'm on my way down to the beach, and you were like, yeah, so something just happened. And when you told me, I was like, he's full of shit. He just doesn't want to share.
So, yeah, I mean, we're at 1-1, you know, by the time
No, but the funny thing is the guy who you were with, who we were going to be going up to Cairns with, he was Dutch in it. So he was really excited to get some smoke. And I turned up and I was like, oh, yeah, funny story. Smoked all the weed like last night. Sorry. And then, yeah, he wasn't very happy. But we ended up travelling up to Cairns with about, I think the night before we left on the bus, and in a minute you can talk about how we managed to pay for the buses, bro. The night before we left on the bus, we spent our last combined like $20 on some pizzas from, mate, what's that brand of pizza? With the pink sign.
I can't remember.
It's something like Wicked. Is it some sort of bird? I can't remember.
Yeah. I think it was just called Wicked or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Not important, but yeah. So we spent our last combined money on that. So we've arrived in Cairns with nothing to our name.
I think I had like $8 for the whole bus journey.
Yeah, you blagged a night in a hostel, and me and Bo camped. It's not a beach. You can't call it a beach. Anyone who's been to Cairns, it's like, it looks like fucking like mud flats and just.
Well, essentially it is, and I mean, you're not even meant to camp on it anyway because there's crocodile warning signs.
Yeah, mate, but we didn't. So we camped in this tent. Me and Bo just like sat there like sharing ciggies. Don't want to go to sleep in this shitty tent. And then we wake up the next day by some like what would they be like? Sort of not coast guards, but like security, I guess, for the marina. And they're like banging on the tent. They're like, guys, you can't sleep here. And we get out like, what the fuck's going on? And they literally just point to this sign. Yellow sign, bright yellow sign, red writing on it, picture of a crocodile. Do not go on the beach. Do not camp here. Crocodile.
Do not swim. Essentially don't go in here anywhere near here because you will get eaten.
And you can't go near the water either. So like that was pretty funny. But yeah, and then we ended up working at a hostel because the good thing about when you're backpacking is hostels know you've got fuck all money and they want someone to clean the place. So they'll let you stay there if you clean a couple of days a week.
However, I think, and a big shout out to that hostel as well.
Big up
Waterside, Waterfront.
Did you call it Waterside?
Waterside. That's the name of a club where I grew up.
No, it's Waterfront. I don't know if it exists anymore, mate.
No, I don't think it does, but big up Waterfront anyway, even though I couldn't even remember your name. But
big up.
It was a sick hostel, man. I mean, I was quite lucky, and obviously I got a job on the first day that we were there, but and thank fuck because none of us had any money, so we were all like we were all supporting each other, which I think was quite a sweet thing to do.
Mate, it was wicked.
Um,
When one of us had money, like, because that's how we initially got it. How did we end up? No, yeah. So we ended up working at the hostel, and then you got a job first. So it wasn't the nicest hostel in the world. Like, obviously, a big one in Cairns is Gilligan's, which is like a banging hostel. Like, everyone who goes to Cairns stays there. Like, it's fancy. And we used to go and drink there, but we couldn't afford to stay there.
And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because they just kind of churn through guests, and for anybody that's obviously lived away for a long time, has noticed that, you know, you kind of, it's nice that you form these little like groups and bonds with people who stay in one place for as fucking long as you do.
Well, the total amount of beds in the hostel, I think, so at max capacity, there was maybe like 50 people staying there, but there was always about 15 of us that worked there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
We obviously all just, because everyone that worked there for the same reason. We were all fucking skint. So we all just kind of bonded, and yeah, it was wicked, mate. It was such a good like period of time, and we've got some serious stories. We'll have to do an episode on the Cairns tales.
It was just pure chaos, because we were out, you know, there were like 2-3 nights a week where you could go out and drink mostly for free.
Yeah.
Obviously we were then cooking the barbecues, and then we were just getting pissed off off the hostel booze that was provided. So it was a great place to kind of live a very cheap existence, wasn't it? And it was cheaper than the rest of Australia.
Yeah, mate, 100%. And that's the thing. That's what I was saying about, like, so you can stay at Gilligan's, which is like this really fancy place, but it's like fucking $25 a night. So you don't stay there. Obviously, we were staying at Waterfront for free, but it was only about $8 a night. So as I said before, exchange rate about £4.
Probably why they're out of business now, wouldn't it? No, I think it was a bit more than that. Let's justify it properly. I think it ranged between kind of 12 and 18.
Well, yeah, because there were nicer rooms, not a lot. Well, nicer. We used to clean them, so they weren't that fucking nice.
I thought we were quite good at cleaning, to be honest with you, mate.
So shit. It was so shit.
We'd sit in that little bit by the pool on the decking, and we'd have a ciggy on our lunch break. And there was like a beer fridge, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And Benny wasn't there one day. So Benny, for obviously podcast sake, was the manager, the owner of the hostel. And he wasn't there one day. Pardon?
And a fucking legend.
So I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go get a beer out the fridge. This is probably at like 11, 12 o'clock. So yeah, alcohol dependent. And I'm sat there on this little decking having this ciggy and a beer, just living my best life. It was great. And then Benny calls up the person that I was seeing, and he's like, oh, was it you that he called?
Yeah, he rang me.
He rang you. So me and Khan weren't seeing each other.
Yeah, no. Not at this point. But no, he rang me and he goes, you right, mate? How's it going? And I'm like, yeah, it's good. He goes, are you getting on with the cleaning? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, mate. Like, literally nearly banged it all out. And he goes, literally, there was like a pause. He goes, is Luke fucking drinking? And I was like, I was in another part of the hostel cleaning, so he'd seen you on the cameras. And I was like, I'll be honest, Benny, mate, I don't actually know. I was like, do you want me to go check? I go and look, and like, drinking is the wrong word. You were having like a beer, and he was like,
I literally had a beer just to mostly get rid of the shakes.
But you know what it followed? Because he kicked off that one time, but it was because he wasn't there. Because every single time we cleaned after that, he would come up to us with 3 beers and be like, "Yeah, boys, have a beer," and like the 3 of us would have a beer together.
Yeah. So the one time that he wasn't there, I was like, "Oh, this is routine. Like, I'm sure he won't mind. I'll put the dollar coins in the thingy, so you know it's paid for."
I think he just felt left out, mate. Is what it was.
Yeah, I think so. But then also, I kind of was drinking on work time, and whilst he wasn't paying me with money, you know, I was staying in his building, so I guess I did take the piss. But it was quite jokes, because I mean, a few days later, obviously, it was coming up to. Actually, no, that was after your birthday. That was. I want to talk about your birthday.
Yeah, well, yeah, my birthday was literally a few days after we arrived. So that's one thing we didn't touch on, how we got there.
Yeah, I thought about this a couple of times. I was like, there'll be a good moment to come back to it.
Yeah, it was a 36-hour coach in total.
However, for 3 people, it cost a grand total of fuck all. So it was great. For argument's sake, I am going to word this carefully. So a company that I allegedly was working for. I allegedly remembered the passwords to their online systems and found a way to book the tickets for free.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, this could not have happened. Like, I don't actually know. But we just managed to get these tickets from the printer. Hopped on the bus. It was great. 36 hours. I think in total it should have cost. Had we remembered the price of it, it should have cost about $600-700. So it was a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But that may or may not have happened.
That may or may not have happened, and that company may or may not be in business anymore. So.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not.
So yeah, like as I was saying, we got this 36-hour coach journey. Like I said before, me and Bo camped on the crocodile-infested beach. We then went to the waterfront. You heard about the waterfront? So it was your idea to go there anyway.
Yeah. So I'd seen him on. I think it was like, I don't know, Gumtree or some kind of job advertising, backpacker board or something like that.
It was a big shout anyway, because we get there, and this is how fucking cheeky we are, mate. I remember being like, yeah, we'll work here so we can stay here, but can we not start for 4 days because it's my birthday and we want to like party a bit? And this is how much of a geezer Benny is, like fucking legend of a bloke. He was like,
yeah, mate, fucking hero.
He was like, totally get it. Fucking first time in Australia, first time in Cairns. It's your birthday. Fucking go out, mate.
And the head movement's part of how Australians talk as well, is it?
Yeah, that is Benny to a T. Anyone out there imagine if someone listens to this and they've met Benny and they're like, it's fucking spot on that. But no, he kind of shafted us a bit because our first shift cleaning was the day after my birthday.
And I want to give a little bit of context as to how bad that first shift was. The reason why that first shift was so bad.
Yeah, what did you do to me?
So obviously, as we have touched on multiple occasions, we were all broke. We were living off very, very minimal money.
I just want to interject here because you can tell the bulk of the story, but I just want to say the first bit because this is an example of how close you become with people you meet traveling. Like, and I've never had any of my friends or family do anything this cool for me on my birthday. you and Bo and me were all skint, so we like couldn't afford to do anything that mad. But you came up to me and were like, "Oh mate, because you're 19, I've come up with 19 challenges you've got to do for your birthday, and I will let you tell people what they were."
Now, I'm not going to lie. I cannot remember every one of the 19 challenges, and I wish I'd written them down to refer back to at a later date. But, I mean, yeah, also just to touch on that point, like, it was a really, really solid part of the fact that you just have to be a bit creative with how you do things. And I think it was just like, it was just a nice way to get everybody involved, one which obviously saved us all loads of money, but also actually it was a little bit more and I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own arse by saying it was quite thoughtful because it wasn't just my idea obviously, but well, I think it was, but anyway.
No, yeah, I think it was initially your idea and then Bo helped you come up with some of the challenges, but no mate, you're not blowing smoke up your arse. It was very thoughtful. Like, I remember being fucking mind blown. I wasn't very happy when I found out what they were. I can remember some of them.
I mean, yeah, so the first one, and bearing in mind, I think we'd, either been smoking a lot or drinking quite heavily the night before as well. And the first one, I remember I had to wake you up with a bottle of absinthe, not a big bottle.
No, just, it was like 3 shots worth.
Yeah, I think that, those little 10ml like chaser kind of bottles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't know absinthe, I mean, 1, have you ever had a drink in your life? But 2,
it's got 90% alcohol.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of alcohol. It's absolutely disgusting, and you should probably only drink 1 and then maybe nothing else for the rest of your night. But that was at what, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, woke me straight up, made me drink that. I had to wear my party trousers, which were like these trippy, fluorescent, multicoloured trousers.
I fucking forgot about the party trousers, man.
I had to wear the sombrero. I'll find a picture and I'll drop it in here because I've got a picture of it somewhere. But
yeah, man, please do.
I had to drink 3 cups of goon. Cups were like this big. 3 cups of goon an hour.
Well, they were just the standard red cups.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows what they look like. I had to do like, that was after I had to do like 20 press ups, then drink these 3 things of goon. I had to get.
It was every hour, so it was like 20 press ups and 3 cups of goon every hour until we went out.
I had to jump in the pool naked. There's a video of that on Facebook somewhere.
Whilst everybody was around as well. It wasn't like, you're not going to get off lightly with this and just when me and Bo were around, you know what I mean? It was like
it was more
hours in the hostel.
Yeah, it was more yours and Bo's birthday than my birthday, now that I think about it.
But, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot, and you were sick at least 3 or 4 times before we even started pre-drinks.
But the sick thing about it is we've been in the hostel like 2 days, and that day is kind of what introduced us to everybody and kind of brought a lot of people together, because they were like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? I was going around the hostel, I had to get people to sign me and shit, and then we ended up telling people why we were doing it, and then it
was a nice little and I definitely think it was that day in particular was something that kind of like formed that whole group within that environment. And I guess a lot of people that have had similar experiences will kind of relate to their own, or I hope they will relate to their own little instances where, something mad's happened and you've just formed some I wouldn't even go as far as saying friendships for life, because I think that's a bit cheesy, and also the fact that you're probably the only one I still talk to on a very regular basis.
But obviously you form like quite strong bonds with people, and like, mate, since that's happened, we've gone like probably like a year without talking before, but every time we link up and chat again, like, it's like no time's passed at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what makes reminiscing on all this shit so funny. Obviously, you're chatting to Jack again now, and I'm excited to fucking get him on here for an episode, because he's
man. I mean, I think we should leave it at this point here.
Yeah, this is a good point to wrap it up.
Yeah, man. I think in the next lot of episodes, obviously, we're going to have a few guests on as well. So you won't just have to listen to me and can't chat shit.
It won't just be us talking about how much fun we've had, because that's
like, obviously, we just wanted to give this episode as a bit of an insight, and just to kind of get you guys used to obviously the dynamic and what we want to talk about in the future. But it won't just be us constantly chatting about Australia, because there obviously is a lot more in the world to speak about than that. But mate, I'm really, really excited about where this is going.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm gassed to film the next one.
So we'll link back up next week, and we'll get cracking on from there.
All right, sweet. If anyone by any chance did listen, tune in for the next one.
Most importantly, thank you obviously for listening. Please like, subscribe. We should have said this at the start. But like, subscribe. You can tell we're not marketing guys.
Yeah, literally. You can find us on Instagram as well. Just
featuring regular people.
I'm going to put down here and down here. People will be able to see it. So
I've got no fucking clue how to do that. So it could be here,
wherever, man. Sweet, bro.
Safe, brother. I'll chat to you soon.
Cheers, mate.